Aunt Louise was a nurse. Uncle Leonard had worked a couple of years for the tribe, but by then he was already driving a school bus. My grandparents earned their paychecks by Southwestern Bell. Mom left Haskell after her first semester just before she married my dad. I touched her traditional tier dress, settlers cotton. I remembered Mom saying torn in long strips. A padded hanger on a brass hook held the long red calico, and its skirt fanned on the antique white wall. When she first hung up the dress, there had been a ribbon to fix. It was only supposed to have been there a day or two, but Mom's time had run out. Now the dress looked wrong somehow, more like a museum piece than a part of living. I hated that. But I didn't want to change anything without checking first with Dad. It's been 6 years since my mother died. As I put away my feather duster, thunder warned me that the storm had turned electrical. I noticed that my grocery receipt was littering the kitchen table. Realizing the last thing I needed was one of Finn's lectures about fiscal responsibility, I unplugged my laptop computer and double-clicked the Quicken icon. After keying in $4.67, I skimmed our financial records. The last time I bought myself anything, including film, was my black fingernail polish on Valentine's Day. Beneath Grandpa's deduction for my weekly allowance, I spotted a payment to Mrs. Georgia Wilhelm for Indian camp, categorized as a miscellaneous family expense. The check had been written by my brother. Through the window screens, I heard his Jeep door slam, and then a round of hoots, hollers, and whistles. I didn't even have to look. The Hansburg High Junior Varsity cheerleaders regularly cruised by our house to gawk at Finn. In their Fighting Harvesters black and gold uniforms, they looked like a six-pack of bumblebees. The fact that we live on a dead-end street makes it even more pathetic. I suffer in comparison to my handsome brother. Here I am, average height, average weight, with bottle cap boobs and a pimple on the side of my nose. Only my mom had admired my so-called Kansas coloring. She used to say that my hair looked like waving wheat, and my eyes changed color with the weather. Dishwasher hair, I've always thought. Hazel eyes, I'm not the poetic type. My brother is the one who inherited Mom's striking looks. Everyone besides him appreciates it, especially Natalie, Lorelei, and the pom-pom quad. A slightly sulky Finn strolled into the kitchen carrying 4 grocery bags in each hand. One last whistle flew through the window into the kitchen. A waste of time. Everybody knew he belonged to Natalie. Well, I said, tucking in a grin, if it isn't Native American heartthrob. For that, he answered, in what had become his trademark quote, you should be grounded. But it would be redundant. You can say that again. And again, I answered. Finn plopped the groceries onto the counter, ran a hand through his damp hair, and announced, the news from the outside world is that I had a meeting upstate today with a new client, a kickaboo blues band called Not Your Wild West Show. They hired me to design a promotional site, where they can announce upcoming gigs and sell music. Nice bunch of guys. They any good? I asked. Finn slipped off his navy jacket, folded it over a chair, and replied, not particularly. Lately, my brother had seemed like a different guy. In the past couple of months, he'd gotten a Jayhawk tattoo on his shoulder and then gone corporate. Goodbye shoulder-length locks, 501s, and marathon t-shirts. Hello, corporate haircut, pinstripes, and fancy neckties. I wasn't sure why. I closed the laptop and announced, I saw the payment for Indian camp. As Finn began restocking the kitchen, he said, for dinner, we could hit Clifford's Chinese Kitchen. It's been months since your last moose shoe fix. I thought about it. My favorite dinner at my favorite restaurant on grocery day? In Lawrence? I wasn't even helping him unload the food. Besides, Finn hadn't answered my question. My fingertips drummed the table, and I answered, you hate Chinese food. Hate? Did you say hate? Finn's voice warbled like a Southern TV preacher's. Why, baby sister, I've never, and I say never, discriminated against a community of food. Then that, I say, now that you must believe. He was definitely up to something. I rose to wash the dishes, waiting. Finn finally said, Aunt George's Indian camp has a real science technology slant. She recruited me to teach web design. It wasn't the first time he'd mentioned it. I rinsed out his mug and reminded him, I already know web design. Last fall he had taught Galen and me. Finn shoved a bag of bagels into the bread box, grabbed a dish rag, and said, I mailed a check in case you changed your mind. I thought maybe... We're talking about 2 weeks, I explained, scrubbing a salad plate, trying to make him understand. I have to weed the lawn, walk Chewy, clean the house, and so on. Hospitals are less antiseptic, Finn replied, drying the cutting board. You're so, I shut off the faucet, presumptuous. It was a word I missed in the semifinal round of my 4th grade spelling bee. It's been my word of choice ever since. He had a point, though. The house had never gleamed so much, especially taking into account how I used to be on the messy side, and how Finn had always embraced the messy side, at least pre-Natalie, and how Grandpa, who prided himself on being the one to look after such things, was out of town. I realized that hiding out had become boring, that I longed for some sunshine. A person can get only so much satisfaction out of making the world lemon fresh. When the doorbell buzzed, Finn tossed his towel on the counter. That's probably Aunt Georgia. As usual, she let herself in, dumped her leather backpack on the table, and traded a round of hugs. Since her last visit, Aunt Georgia had dyed her short gray and black hair a tomato red. From a distance, nobody would have guessed she was Muskogee Creek Cherokee, or for that matter, a natural redhead. I wasn't too surprised. Bernadette Ray had a tendency to get creative with her salon clients. But even so, Aunt Georgia's new hue was really something. After pouring her a glass of iced tea, Finn excused himself to work in his domain, a home office that used to be our freestanding garage. On the way out, he said, "By the way, Rain won't be able to make it to Indian camp." I was worried about having hurt Aunt Georgia's feelings or having shown disrespect, but before I could say anything, she reached into her backpack and pulled out a journal with a crescent moon on the cover. "I picked up a few of these on sale," she told me, sliding it across the table. "You used to like to write." I thanked her and turned the journal over in my hands. I had liked to write, especially in 5th and 6th grades, before photography went from a hobby to an obsession. "I best get a move on," Aunt Georgia announced, drowning the last of her iced tea. "My aqua aerobics class starts in 10 minutes. I just dropped by to say hi." She bent and kissed my forehead. "If you do change your mind about Indian camp, you're always welcome. But if I don't see you again before then, I expect we'll all get together over the 4th of July. The holiday had sneaked up on me. My toes tingled. Aunt Georgia turned away too soon to notice my surprise. As the door shut behind her, I thought about how much time had gone by since Galen had died. It had been 6 months already. 6 months! The 4th of July would have been his birthday, an occasion I'd sworn to always celebrate. I shuffled like a zombie into my room, opened my hope chest, and took out the box with my birthday necklace inside. It had been sitting on a stack of unanswered cards and letters from my grandparents in Oklahoma. Before going to bed that last night, I'd taken the necklace off so as to not get it tangled in my hair. I wasn't ready to wear it again. Not yet. I wanted to keep it as one last secret between Galen and me. Despite everything, his notorious taste in presents, it being his last night on the planet, he still managed to give me something that I'd always treasure for my holiday birthday. I decided that somehow I had to keep my end of the deal and honor his. The big question was how I hardly whispered Galen's name since the last New Year's Day, and his birthday, the 4th of July, was only a week away.